Hey family, welcome back to Truth Be Told podcast, where we'll be telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. This episode is titled, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Where we'll be taking a deep dive into introspection and how we can improve ourselves through introspection. So, are you afraid of the dark? Or are you afraid of what you might find in the darkness? When I say darkness, I'm referring to the aspects of ourselves that we often don't acknowledge, neglect to address, or simply are in denial that it exists, right? Kind of those negative aspects we don't like to see about ourselves. The spiritual girlies would call it shadow work. Psychology would call it introspection. Whatever, term or thing fits you better. That's what we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so let's get into it. What are your coping skills specifically? Do you address problems head on? Or do you kind of bury your head in the sand and act like these problems don't exist? Are you able to look at yourself fully and to see when you yourself are contributing to said problem? Are you able to see how your actions and behaviors had led to said situations that caused a difficulty in your life? Those are the tough questions we have to start asking ourselves when we begin to do the work that, so many people talk about doing. That's why I wanted to come on to help people do the work, because you hear all this talk about doing the work. Nobody really tells you specifically how to get to that, right? So the main thing is getting brutally honest with yourself. What are some things that you know about yourself that you need to change? If you can't think of anything, think of some things that people have told you about yourself that you could probably look at working on, right? So a lot of times introspection is hard because who wants to see themselves in a negative light, right? But instead of taking it as a negative, if you flip the way you perceive that and take it as an opportunity for growth, that might help you with your work in introspection. So how can you grow as an individual instead of saying, what's wrong with me? What do I need to fix? If you reframe it, and we'll talk a lot about reframing things, because that event, goes into how you perceive things, and how you perceive things really determines and dictates how you'll proceed forward with said thing. So if you reframe it in a way that doesn't make you feel attacked or is uncomfortable, you're more than likely to get to the root of it. So what are some areas where you can grow? Are you cooperative? Are you kind? Are you compassionate? Are you empathetic? Are you understanding? Are you a good listener? Do you have selfishness that you need to work on? There's plenty of areas where we can dive in and discuss what can be worked on individually for personal growth, right? So that's the whole point of this episode. How can we grow as individuals? Because you do know we're supposed to be evolving, right? I don't think many people get that. Just by looking at the things on social media, real life things people say and do, I don't think a lot of people understand that as humans, we are supposed to evolve into better humans, into our best selves. So what was cool and funny in high school, we should have, evolved way beyond that by now. So if you were the gossip queen in high school, getting the tea on everybody, making fun of people, talking down to people, I don't know how you would have fun with that in high school even, but we should have evolved past that by now, right? Simple traits like that. So once we've reached adulthood, right, we should be evolving as the years go on, right? Just like in school, you learn a lesson, you learn the lesson, you pass the test, you pass the grade, so on and so forth, right? So many people cannot understand why they're stuck in the same situations, going in the same cycles, when they don't realize that they're doing the same things that they've always done, coping with problems the same way they've always coped with them. Are you a runner? I know I was. I still struggle with that to this day. I'll just run from the problem. I'll leave the whole situation. Done and over with. Forget about it. And that's no way to deal with problems, right? So those are the tough questions we have to ask ourselves. How are my coping mechanisms even a problem or something that I need to grow, right? This involves a lot of accountability. You have to recognize, realize, and be honest with yourself that you're not perfect. The problem generally starts with you. And then that can expand to you, the choices you make, the environments you find yourself in or put yourself in, the relationships and people you deal with and put yourself in contact with that directly affect your life, right? So this involves taking deep accountability in who we are as people, how we get to where we are by the individual choices that we make. Introspection is defined as the psychological process that involves looking inward to examine one's own thoughts, emotions, judgments, perceptions, right? So taking that inward look on how you even think, how your emotions affect everything that you do. What kind of judgments are you making about yourself and other people? How do you perceive yourself as well as how do you perceive others? Do you have like a negative outlook on things, overall things? Are you like naturally pessimistic and always looking for the worst case scenario to happen? What is that saying where people say, oh, they plan for the best and prepare for the worst? While that can be a good thing because, you're preparing yourself for it not turning out the way you may see it, recognize how you are essentially calling that energy into your existence. You are literally planning yourself to deal with the worst case scenario. So often we find ourselves in situations where we're so used to dealing with negativity, negative outcomes that that's what we're expecting. And guess what? If that's what you expect, that's what you'll get. Self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you think everything's going to go terrible and everybody's a liar and everybody's manipulative and there's no good men or women in the world, then that's exactly what you'll get. So don't be surprised when you get that outcome because you've been so hell-bent on focusing on that. You've been so hell-bent on focusing on the negative that you fail to acknowledge that this can turn out positive. There is a positive side to this if you allow it. But if your mind can't even perceive a positive outcome, then how do you expect that to manifest into reality? Think about that for a second. In your mind, you can't even conceive this situation, relationship, what have you, going in a positive way. So how could it? Your mind can't even see it. So again, be mindful even of the thoughts that we're having, the emotions that we're having. Dig deeper. Find out where that's coming from. When did you start being so pessimistic? When did you start being so non-trusting? That's a big one for me. Like, trust? What? Who does that? Why would I do that? Like, trust people? Why would I trust people? So, I definitely can relate. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is I hate it when someone speaks on being introspective, or us reflecting on what we need to reflect on, or being better, or doing the work, or right? You have a million people trying to come at that person, telling them what they need to do and what introspection they need to do and how they can better themselves and all that fun jazz, right? That's fine and perfect. But if I'm someone that's talking about introspection, please believe I'm doing the introspection, right? And I'm not pointing it out to make you feel less than, or make myself appear better than. That's not the case. Most people who are calling out introspection or calling us to do shadow work and introspection want us to be better individuals. So I want us all to be, better individuals, so we can have a better society, right? And sometimes, you just need a Virgo to tell you what you need to do. Like they say, Virgos ask the important questions that we all need to be asking ourselves or reflecting on. So here you go. Don't take this as I know everything or she feels. No. Take this as someone is continuously doing the work, striving to be a better person in all ways, and figuring it out as I go, just like I'm encouraging you to do. All I'm suggesting is we be better individuals when we're moving forward. Try to be different. Try to be better. How can I handle conflict better? Are you good at conflict resolution? That is a big thing in society that we have to tackle, because, honey, the conflict resolution does not exist, or it is negative in the way people execute conflict resolution, right? So a lot of people think that fighting and arguing and that's just a natural way of things, and you have to do it that way, and it has to be this tough, aggressive situation, when realistically, if you look at it, where has that got you? Oh wait, where does arguing get you? Fighting is like crazy to me at an old age. Like, if you are fighting, to me is crazy anyway, but if you are fighting to resolve conflict, I'm gonna need you to reflect on that. The only way you know how to resolve conflict is arguments. I'm gonna need you to reflect on that. Yes, you'll have disagreements with people. Arguments can occur, right? But ask yourself, do you get to the bottom of the conflict ever? Do you actually resolve the issue with the argument? Or is the argument just something that takes place because, either you're refusing accountability, you don't know how to communicate effectively, or is it just a distraction to take accountability or deflect from the situation at hand? So there's a number of ways you can look at it, but how we are resolving conflict with others is a big thing that we need to take introspection on, because the state of the world is crazy, and it seems like everybody has normalized fighting. Everybody has normalized arguing. Everybody has normalized toxic relationships with people. So how can we better handle ourselves in situations that are difficult? As I said in the beginning, how can we better handle ourselves in situations where it requires you to self-reflect and take accountability? How do you handle yourself in situations where you are in the wrong, and when maybe you haven't seen it at first, but somebody calls it to your attention? How are you able to handle that? Are you able to look at yourself and say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. What I find most hilarious with introspection is, while we fail to reflect on what we need to focus on in ourselves, we have no problem pinpointing where everybody else has got it wrong. So you're able to see what's wrong with that relationship, why they should have did this, why they should parent their kids like this, why this career doesn't work or should go like this, or how they can do this better. But none of that energy is applied to self. How are you self-reflecting? And if we spent half the time we do searching for the flaws in others just to ease our own little insecurities, and instead put that time and effort into ourselves, reflecting and doing the introspection, we'd be much better off as a people. Too often we busy ourselves with distractions to keep us from doing the actual introspection that's needed. So we busy ourselves with the art of being busy. We are working, we focus on careers, relationships, children, friendships, familial relationships, outside activities, social media, what Cardi B and them is doing. There's a plethora of distractions, right? And while all those things are, natural things that we should be working on in life, naturally occurring things in life. Of course you need a job, of course you need a career. I'm not suggesting that you never watch TV or enjoy the things you enjoy. I'm just suggesting that it shouldn't stop us from doing the work that we need to do to become better individuals. So how can you minimize the distractions in your life? What distracts you the most? For me, I know my biggest distraction was, I want to help everybody else so I can help you. Not to be confused with what I'm doing now, because I am actually taking the time to do introspection, but all my time was taken up and how I could help others, how I could show up for others, how I could be that person at work that gets everything done, how I can be the person in the relationship that strives the hardest and, often selfless in a relationship. And, what does my partner need? What is, trying to anticipate each and every one of their needs. And while you can do that, you just shouldn't neglect yourself. You still shouldn't neglect that introspection that's needed in life in general, because you'll find that, once you pull back from doing all the things that distract you, you still have to do the work, right? You're still going to have to figure out who you are as a person, deeper than just your relationship, your career, your parenting, your school life, your social life. You're going to have to figure out, who am I? Why am I the way that I am? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I think the way that I think? Why do I respond to certain things that I respond to in a certain manner? Why do I act the way I act? Why do I have difficulty in relationships? Why do I have difficulty in maybe learning? Why do I have difficulty accepting accountability? Why do I have difficulty doing introspection? What makes me so uncomfortable about exploring myself? Do you have hobbies? Like, what do you do with all your time? We're not meant to be here just to work and have relationships and twerk and eat lemon pepper wings. We're actually supposed to evolve as humans. I don't think many people understand that. You are supposed to get better with time. You are supposed to become your best self and heal those parts of you that aren't so good, so that you can be better for yourself, your children, generations to come, your relationships, just being a healthier person overall, mind, body, and spirit. It's more than just the physical. I think we're so caught up on the physical, and now people aren't even realistically addressing the physical. Everybody's going under the knife. So, to each his own. That's on you. That's what you do. That's your choice. I'm not knocking anybody's choices. All I'm saying is deeper than just the physical. The soul health is important, as well as mental health, physical health, spiritual health. So we should be working to grow in all those areas, just to become our best selves. Nothing difficult, nothing too strenuous. They say if you improve by like 1% a day, think about how small 1% a day is. Like, seriously, like, take a walk, read a book, read a self-help book, get a self-help journal, a self-love journal, a shadow work journal. Hell, go to therapy if you need to. Speak with a life coach. Do all the things that you can do to improve self in any area that you may need to grow in. Remember how we are saying things to ourselves matters. So don't say, oh, I need to work on this. Oh, I need to fix this and do this and do that. Well, that doesn't sound nice, and you're not going to get around to it if you keep saying it like that. Addressing it like that, it sounds not good, not fun, and it sounds like something's wrong with you, and that is part of the reason why we neglect to do the things that we need to do, because we frame it from a negative place. Remember to always reframe it. So how can I grow spiritually? Whatever spirituality looks like for you, whether it's religion, whether it is getting out in nature, whatever it is for you, how can you grow spiritually? Start there. Just ask yourself that question. I'm pretty sure you'll come up with an answer quite quickly. Another thing about spirituality and religion, right? Yeah, we're going here. Let's be accountable. You could go to church and pray, tithe all you want, right? You could pray as many times a day as you like. You can do all the things that you're supposed to do according to your religion or spirituality, right? What are you doing after you get up from prayer? How do you talk to people? How are you treating people? Are you still judging your neighbor, the people around you, in your relationships, in your life, in your family? Are you still fornicating? Stealing? And I don't mean just stealing from the store. Are you stealing people's joy by your negative energy? Do you steal people's ideas at work? Do you steal people's lunches? Like, people are insane. People are out here acting as if they do no wrong. And while you might not do the obvious, right? You're not stealing. You're not out here bashing people over the head. Like, you're not doing anything crazy, right? But you speak negativity into everybody that you talk to. They tell you about a dream or aspiration and you quickly shut it down or dismiss it. You're stealing someone's joy. You're stealing someone's hope for their future. You're stealing someone's optimism with your pessimism. Reflect on that. While tithing is great, I'm pretty sure, the Most High would prefer that we don't fornicate. Right? I'm pretty sure everybody's book says that, right? So it's deeper than just praying and saying all the right things and looking the part. You actually have to be about doing that work. We're in a time now where all the facades and the masks are coming off. It's time to actually do the work. If you're a good person and you're a Christian, you're really going to have to do that. You're really going to have to stand up and be that. There is people that sit in the front pews of the church gossiping, spreading rumors. Doesn't it speak against that in the Bible that you read? Are you guys listening to the things that you're reading? Or are you just reading it to check off a box? You went to church on the Sabbath, you said the prayer, you did the thing, and now you get up and just do whatever? That's not how that works. You want to pray for peace, but you're not a peaceful person. Listen, there are so many people that claim to want peace, love peace, be a person of peace, and they are not peaceful. Are y'all all right? Like, are y'all all right? Like, what the heck? See, all right, so let me not go off on a tangent, but for real, like, are y'all for real right now? We need people to be exactly who you claim to be. If you are in a position of leadership, lead with integrity, is deeper than just putting on a performance for those you claim to lead or inspire or teach. It's deeper than that. Everything should be done with integrity, and me having to say that is like insanity to me. So some things that we can reflect on together. Remember, I'm not holier than thou. I'm not separating myself or elevating myself as if I'm the pinnacle of perfection, although I would like to be. I am a person. But what are some things you can do to grow as a person individually without putting it on social media, without, the group being involved? You got to have a whole team of people, with you as you do these different things to grow. What can you do as an individual right now to evolve into your best self? Isn't that what you want? Don't you want to be better? Don't you want to be your best self? Don't you want to see what that includes? So I have some tough questions for you. What emotion do you try to avoid the most, and why? What in your life or who triggers you the most, and why? What do you need to forgive yourself for? And how can you show up better for the people in your life, specifically your children? So those are some things. Why did I pause like I was going to get a response? I don't know. So it's time to stop talking about, stop talking about it and be about it. We really have to get to this work. Let me say that. We really have to get to this work. We really have to grow and evolve. We are the new adults. So while we've, broken a lot of generational curses off of the bloodlines, right? So a lot of kids aren't having kids young anymore. You see none of the kids really smoke cigarettes anymore. So while we've broken, some things off of bloodlines here, more kids are going to college, more career oriented, more people in therapy, more people doing the work, more people willing to do the introspection, more people committed to healing. So we've come a ways from where generations before us left off, right? And how can we evolve and be better for those after us? I'm going to tell you one thing, my personal opinion, it lies within healing ourselves, obviously, but that conflict resolution is a must. Finding good coping mechanisms is another one. Healthy coping styles and techniques is another one. So let me just give you a few coping skills and techniques you can use in place of some of those that don't work. So once you reflect on, because that's another thing, we can reflect on all day on what we need to grow, what we need to change, and what we need to remove, right? But once we remove something, we have to be mindful to replace it with its antithesis or something good, right? So, if we want to remove arguing, let's input healthy communication styles, okay? If you are easily triggered, perhaps you need to take a moment before you have the difficult conversations and communicate that with whomever you're dealing with, that, hey, listen, things escalate with me. If I get too upset in an argument, I need to take a moment to gather myself and gather my thoughts so I can communicate in a healthy manner my wants, needs, expectations, etc., right? Okay, so let's take a moment to go over some coping skills that you can use in place of the negative skills, or the skills that don't inspire growth. Look at that reframing. So the behaviors or reactions or skills that you currently use that do not inspire growth or positivity that we want to remove. Let's discuss how we can replace those with positive things that do inspire growth and positivity. So when you feel stressed, instead of arguing, deflecting that energy outward to other people, or, sometimes we do it inward and kind of beat ourselves up, take a walk, take a hot shower, take a hot bath, play some of your favorite music. Let me tell you, music is one of my personal medicines. So in the mental health field, we had this thing where we would encourage people to use their personal medicine. So what works best for you in this stressful situation to kind of get you de-escalated, right? So I love the personal medicine model because it gets you to reflect on what actually works for you and what doesn't. It gets people to think outside of just relying on their medication or their therapist, or, it gets you into proactive mode on what you can do for you to make yourself better in a tough situation. So personal medicine, showering, taking a hot bath, listening to music. Now, if you know like I know, music is a very good instrument we can use to quickly change our mood. I don't know if you know that, but sound and frequency has the ability to change your mood almost instantly. So do not listen to Nuck If You Buck or no, we want to shift to something that's going to shift our mood to a positive space. So what music gets you into the positive vibes? For me, automatically reggae. Like, give me Jacure, give me Dexter Daps, reggae, anything. And that's something Bob Marley knew. I don't know if you guys knew that. Bob Marley knew that the frequency of the music has the ability to change people. That's why he is one of those artists who is loved worldwide through many cultures, because one, his positive message and imagery and the words he used to unify people, but two, he understood frequency and vibration. So what music gets you in that feel-good space, where your worries just drift away? Is it R&B? Is it rock and roll? Is it reggae? You can actually you could come out in nature and listen to all the birds and the bees that you hear behind me, as a soothing situation. You can listen to healing hertz. That's what I wanted to get into. There are different hertz, HERTZ, that you can listen to right now on YouTube right now to help you with whatever situation you have. So if you feel like you need calming and relaxation, look up calming hertz, relaxation hertz. If you need to ground yourself, look up grounding hertz, healing hertz. There's money manifestation hertz. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's a lady that I love. I think her name is Chantress. And oh my gosh, she has some of the most beautiful, like soulful, healing music. I'll have to look her up and make sure that's her name, but I believe it's Chantress on YouTube. She does a lot of like singing with the different hertz, and you'll love it. Anyway, that is my biggest suggestion. Always use music to shift your mood like that. Somebody getting on your nerves, just, you know what? I'm not even going to respond. Turn on some music. Clean. That's another thing people do. to cope with stress. A lot of people call it rage cleaning, but that usually kills two birds with one stone. Obviously, you're cleaning, but you're cleansing the energy out your space, and you're like physically working that negative energy out of your body, moving the negative energy around. The same with walking, it has dual purpose. Or exercising, going to the gym, you are moving that negative energy around and out of your body, and you're working out, so you're getting fit. So don't look at these as things that, don't look at these as negative things. Oh, I gotta clean. Oh, I gotta use it as opportunity to reflect. Another thing that I learned in my studies, because I do read a lot, I do research a lot. Another thing I learned in my studies is meditating isn't just the okay? It's not just that. You can do that. That is, trust me, try that. Try meditation. If you haven't tried it, there are guided meditations online that you can follow and listen to kind of guide you through it until you get the hang of it. But meditation is, you can meditate doing different things, gardening, while you're exercising, showering, bathing, cleaning, drawing, coloring. So all those things, it kind of takes your mind, it takes you out of your mind and in the present moment. And that's basically what meditation is geared to do, kind of to center you. And we kind of mindlessly do those things when we're involved in those activities. So try to incorporate some of those things to help your mind, help you meditate, help you get your mind off of the situation. When you have lived so long in the dark, you tend to gravitate toward the light of others, neglecting the fact that it is your responsibility to keep yourself lit. So with that being said, reflect on how you can evolve and grow into the greatest version of yourself. So let's remember, the healing isn't just for self, it's for our children, it's for our future generations to come, it's for those who will be involved in relationships with, whether intimate relationships or familial. Healthy people help create healthy people. Healed people help create healed people. And why wouldn't we want to contribute more healed and healthy people to society? Right? That should be a given. So continue to work on you. Be inspired to grow into the best version of yourself you could possibly be. Remember, we're reframing this work. Instead of what do you need to work on, what do you need to fix, let's reframe that mindset. What can I do to grow into my highest, greatest self? How can I evolve into being the best version of me that I could possibly be? Let's remember that it all starts with self. Don't get distracted by other things in the world. Don't get distracted by being busy, by the art of being busy, as I like to call it. Get to the work of what you need to do, doing you. And you know what they say, truth without love is brutality. Love without truth is hypocrisy. So spread truth unapologetically, but with love. Peace.